Welcome everyone to the second classical game between Praggnanandhaa and Magnus Carlsen at the FIDE World Cup 2023. Prag arrives to the board and is writing down his score sheet while Magnus Carlsen arrives a bit later. He comes to the board with his two bottles, shakes hands with Prag. He has the white pieces. The first game ended in a draw, so Magnus has all the chance now today to press with white and take home the title. We have the guest who has made the first move, e4, on the board, and Prag and Magnus shake hands, and we are ready to rock and roll here. What does Prag respond with? Well, he goes very simple, very steady, very solid. e5, knight comes out to f3. And Prag will most likely play knight to c6. Prag is not known for playing the Petrov. He goes knight to c6. And now will Magnus play bishop out? No, he actually plays his knight out, which is sort of an indication that he's out there for a peaceful game. This is the 4 knights game, which generally does not give white such a huge advantage. Bishop b5 played, a very classical line. One way to play is to maintain the symmetry by getting your bishop out. The other one is to move your knight. Now remember, you can't take this pawn because after queen e7 this pawn is falling. So another move is bishop a4 or bishop c4, but Magnus actually takes the knight. It's kind of a drawish line because now after take, if you move the knight, then after pawn push you could even lose this pawn. So Magnus pushes his pawn forward. You can see that the white knight is hanging and so is the black knight. Prag takes, and now Magnus also takes. Now if you are greedy and if you take here, then after bishop takes, queen takes, your pawn up, but after castles the bishop is coming out, the rook is coming here, and it's very dangerous. So Praggnanandhaa doesn't get greedy here. He takes with the queen, and after pawn takes on c3, well, the bishop opens up and the white bishop is already out there. Prag plays his bishop out and tries to catch up on the development by threatening a mate in 1. Well, a check to the king. And now, well, you don't want to move your king and lose the castling right, so you need to interpose either with the bishop or the queen. He plays the queen here and offers a trade. One thing looks very clear, that Magnus is not in his pure element here. Otherwise he would have definitely played more ambitiously with the white pieces. He plays his bishop out, attacks the pawn. Prag trades the queen, and now bishop takes or king takes. He takes with the king. You know, sometimes in such games you look at how the players are making their moves and you realize their intent of winning. If you look at Magnus, the way he's moving his pieces, you can already sense that he is not playing so confidently. Bishop comes back, and now Prag hits in the center. You can see he's brought his pawns out. His bishop is ready to move now. He's catching up in his development. Magnus pushes his pawn, tries to undouble them. If you push your pawn further here, this can be very risky because now after rook comes to the center, it's already a lot of pressure. So Prag takes, bishop takes, and now you can see that the pawns have been undoubled, and Prag gets the position to a very symmetrical position, because now you can see the 4 bishops standing opposite each other. This pawn is attacked. He goes rook d1, and his point is, if you take this pawn, he wants to go rook c1, you go back, I take, and I recover the pawn. So that's the reason why Prag doesn't indulge in taking this pawn. He just castles it out. Prag is playing it very safe here. He's not taking any risks. Magnus going even safer. He tells Pragg, do you want to trade? Because once you trade, rook takes, the rook could enter the 7th rank and you can also double. So Pragg actually moves his bishop back, which is a very smart move. He keeps his bishop on the board. Magnus moves his king away, trying to tuck it away safely on the f1 square. And now Pragg, it's time to get his rooks into the game. Rook here, rook here. He first plays his rook to e8. These are the two open files because there are no pawns on these files, and generally the rooks are placed on open files. Magnus plays his pawn up to b3 so that in future the bishop is not looking at the pawn and his rook can come out. He brings his rook to the center of the board. Now both these rooks nicely placed. And Pragg has actually caught up in development. He goes rook e1. Magnus here, and now Pragg can already bring his king to the center. He plays h6. Just a quiet move. Not doing much there, but just improving his position bit by bit. Rook d1. And now once again you will see that two rooks are here, two rooks are here. First it was bishop, but now if you want to maintain symmetry, you need to bring your king here to f8. And Pragg wants to place king. Yes, he plays it. King f8 on the board. And now the two rooks and king and the white two rooks and king are all in the similar position. f3 played by Magnus. And maybe he's just making some space for his king. Pragg attacks the rook on b4 by placing his bishop there. You can move your rook up 1 square or you can move it 2-3 squares. Magnus moves it to e4 and hits the bishop. Now here you can defend it with pawn to a5, but Pragg goes back and he's inviting Magnus to a repetition. If you go back, if Magnus was in ambitious mode, he would have pushed his pawn forward, but he goes rook e1 and he is not at all ambitious today. He has doubled his rooks, but Pragg, after his next move, neutralizes them. He plays bishop d5, fantastic move, and now you will see that the rooks are getting traded on the e file. So rook takes rook, rook takes rook, and Pragg has actually very effectively bishop f5 neutralized Magnus's white pieces. The rook takes the rook, king takes, and you will see that the material is absolutely even. King comes to e7. There's a rule in this tournament that you cannot offer a draw before 30th move is played. So currently we are on move number 27. Bishop goes back. But the way this is going, in the next 2 or 3 moves, this should end in a draw. King takes e6. h3 by Magnus. And now Pragg pushes his pawn to h5. Putting his pawns on the opposite color of his bishop here is a good idea. Good practice in general. King e2, but the position is just very drawish. Pawn to g6, and as soon as the 30th move is made, Pragg offers a draw. Magnus thinks for a bit and agrees to a draw. That's it. The two classical games have ended in draws now. It's time to go into tie breaks. We are going into rapid play tomorrow. The players exchange their score sheets, sign it, and we'll see what happens. Magnus was not at all ambitious. He tells Pragg some moves, but of course there was nothing much to play for. Pragg is like, yeah, well, today was not a game that we played.